With the coronavirus continuing to dominate not only the news but people's everyday lives, people around the country are being asked to make a number of sacrifices when it comes to their daily routine, minimising unnecessary travel, where possible working from home, and just keeping others in mind. We discussed all of the measures the government put in place in a video yesterday, but one topic is notably missing, leading many to question why schools in the UK are remaining open in the light of the virus continuing to spread. If you didn't know, we've just announced Season 4 of our PIN badges, which includes England, Ireland, Mexico, Poland, Finland, Bulgaria, Cyprus, Japan, Romania and Russia. You can pre-order any of these designs or the full season in our store right now, and the first 25 people to use code SCHOOL will get 10% off their order. A link to that can be found in the description. On Monday, the Prime Minister held a press conference where he called on people to make some major sacrifices.
First, we need to ask you to ensure that if you or anyone in your household has one of those two symptoms, then you should stay at home for 14 days. Even if you don't have symptoms, if no one in your household has symptoms, there is more that we need you to do now. Now is the time for everyone to stop non-essential contact with others and to stop all unnecessary travel. We need people to start working from home where they possibly can, and you should avoid pubs, clubs, theatres and other such social venues.
But notably, he didn't announce that the government were going to be closing schools.
We're keeping all measures under review, and particularly, obviously, people will be thinking about school closures. There is an argument about school closures. We think at the moment, on balance, it's much better if we can keep schools open for all sorts of reasons. But I appreciate that this is, again, something that we need to keep under review.
The government's position has always been that while school closures may ultimately be necessary, they must come at the right stage of the outbreak. In the eyes of the supporters of herd immunity, schools offer a relatively easy way to turn off the tap and manage transmission when and if the time comes, allowing the government to ideally flatten the curve such that cases don't overcome the NHS or cause a secondary spike in the winter. However, this plan is not without its flaws. In the first regard, keeping schools open whilst urging people to minimise non-essential travel appears somewhat contradictory. School children are major users of public transport, and while they themselves may not experience the very worst symptoms of the virus, people that travel alongside them may do. That being said, if the government were to close schools now, there will be very significant impacts to those dependent on the support provided by schools. Whether that's parents who rely on free school meals to get by, or working parents who suddenly have to pay for expensive childcare to look after their children. Also, if parents continue to work, their children could end up being looked after by grandparents and other relatives who could be at more risk already. And then comes the question of exams. This summer, like every summer, students are timetabled to take GCSE and A-level exams. While affecting a relative minority of the school population, these exams are for some a gateway to higher education, and if schools are closed now, what will ultimately happen to exams? Will they be pushed forward, back, or cancelled in their entirety? Chris Keats, the NAS UWT union head, said that the lack of clear information with regards to the steps to protect teachers, head teachers and other staff working in schools, in the context of commenters constantly referring to the threats posed by children carrying COVID-19, is causing chaos and confusion and placing intolerable stress on staff in schools and their families. Schools are struggling with ever-diminishing staff levels and are being driven to make arrangements for changes to staff working conditions, which have the potential to compromise the health and safety of staff and pupils. The situation cannot be allowed to continue. The UK government, working with governments and administrations across the UK, must now make a definitive decision about the steps being taken to protect the school workforce and the closure of schools. No one is really sure when or even if schools will close, but with mounting pressure from both within and outside the UK, speculation continues to rise on scenarios such as extending the 2-week Easter break to 4, or even abandoning the summer term entirely. We'll keep you updated on the government's decisions regarding schools, so be sure to subscribe to the channel for more updates. Also, we'd like to hear your opinion on this issue. Do you think that it's better to leave schools open and let parents and families operate normally? Or do you think it's a dangerous decision to not isolate children at this stage? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comments and on Discord. Thanks so much for watching, and a special thanks to our Patreon backers who make videos like this one possible.